Welcome in, everybody, to another edition of the Football Friday podcast, and it is our annual tradition we've done for the last several years, dating back to our days at Clarion University on CUTV and 91.7 FM, and we brought it to the podcast last year, and we're bringing it back again this year. It is our annual draft show. Matt Catrillo, Alex Kozora, Ian Hunter, Tyler DeGiacomo back with us here this week as well. Guys, it is great to be doing the show with you again. What's going on? Tyler, good to have you back.
Yeah, I'm sorry that I haven't been here for a while. Went home last week for Easter, been busy at work.
How dare you go home?
My apologies. Then even today, I'm very swamped with work, but I said, no, I can't miss our draft show, so I squeezed you guys in for an hour or so here, so it'd be nice.
Well, we always appreciate that. And Alex, I know I say this to you every year. I'm going to do it again. Merry Christmas to you, because I know this is your personal Christmas, obviously.
Same to you, and a week away. So that is the good thing, though, is we can finally put all the speculation to rest, and in a week we'll know the first round picks and can talk about things that actually happen instead of the endless speculation of things that may happen, which is the one downside of the draft time. We get so oversaturated with news and reports, it becomes impossible to know what's fact and what's fiction.
Right, absolutely. And, of course, it's even better because the draft is in Philly this year. Can't wait for that, as well, to see what's going to look like in front of the Rocky Steps. So it's going to be really fun coming up next Thursday night. But before we start our draft talk, guys, and I know we've been chomping at the bit, I would be remiss if we didn't start with quick remembrances of the late now Dan Rooney, the Steelers owner who passed away earlier this week at the age of 84. And, Alex, I'm going to start with you, obviously, being our man from Steelers Depot. Just your thoughts on the legacy of Dan Rooney and as far as leading the Steelers organization, what he's done for the NFL.
Yeah, it's a tough day, and we had heard some stuff. We knew he was sick during league meetings, so I guess it didn't come as a shock, but it definitely was incredibly sad. And I think some people have said it, and I think Rooney talked about it in his book he did a decade ago, that he's one of the last guys left of that bridge from the original founding fathers of football, Art Rooney Sr., the Chief being one of them, to the modern day. There's not many guys still around that can remember that time and are just one link away from when football began in the NFL in 1920. And so you lose that piece of history, which is so important and so valuable as we are in this modern era where it's big business and it's about making a profit and all the things that it really wasn't, a long, long time ago. So from a league perspective, I think you lose a lot of insight and value and character and integrity that may not always exist the same right now. But for Pittsburgh, obviously, when I think of Pittsburgh, the Steelers, I think of three people. I think of the Chief, I think of Chuck Noll, I think of Dan Rooney. And as much as I love the Chief and him founding the team and holding the team together for so long, it was Dan Rooney that made the Steelers a success. He is the one that found Chuck Noll, was the first to interview Chuck Noll, with his dad, hired Chuck Noll, because the Chief was kind of just an old school guy to let coaches coach, and the Steelers would spin their wheels and be terrible and never showed any progress, didn't want to change their philosophy. It was Dan Rooney who came in and said, we got to do something different, change our approach. And Chuck Noll, to be honest, was not a popular hire at the time. He was a guy that was with the Colts, Baltimore Colts, right after they got upset by the Jets. So there was all that backlash right now of an AFL team beating an NFL team. They could have went with other directions. I think Joe Paterno was in the mix. And so Noll was not, the most popular, catchy guy to hire, but he was the right guy for it. That's what Dan Rooney saw, and Dan Rooney always knew what the right thing to do was.
It's a great point you make, Alex, especially with the history side of things and as far as like him being that historical figure that the NFL had for all this time, especially when it first kicked off, like you said. Because really, I mean, every major sports league has had a lot of rich history when you think about how each league has evolved. But when you look at the NFL and how it got started, and you have guys like Dan Rooney who are at the center of it, it is, to me, is the richest of sports history that you can find because of guys like Dan Rooney that influenced it so much. And I think that's a great point and well said there as far as what he meant, not only for the city of Pittsburgh and its rich sports history, but also for the NFL in general and its rich history. I think the richest of all of sports. Ian, let me go to you now on your thoughts on Dan Rooney.
Yeah, I mean, I echo a lot of what Alex said, and I've met Dan Rooney just one time. I met him. It was a total on a whim. He was at a book signing whenever his book had first come out, and it was just Barnes and Noble. And my family and I walked in, and lo and behold, we got to meet Dan Rooney. And it's still a day I think about from time to time. I still have the book that's autographed. It's sitting on my bookshelf, and it's I did pull the book down. I've never actually read his book. It always was something I just kind of looked at and wanted to read, never got around to it. Now it's down, ready for me to read it. So as soon as I finish the book about Chuck Noll, I'm going to go and read the Dan Rooney book. But Alex mentioned about, the Steelers wouldn't be who they are without Dan Rooney. The hiring of Chuck Noll, the hiring of Bill Cowher, the hiring of Mike Tomlin,
Bill Nunn.
Yeah, Bill Nunn is another one. But how about the pushing to draft Ben Roethlisberger after the Steelers passed on Dan Marino? That was a big move. Alex talked about coaches coach and letting the executives do their thing. He was an executive who said, no, we have to make the right move. We have to bring this guy in, do it, or I expect your resignation. Without Dan Rooney, the Steelers aren't what they are now. And we're not talking about them going for Super Bowl number 7. We're probably talking about them the same way we talked about the Cleveland Browns, even if they are even still in Pittsburgh.
No, you'll love Rooney's book. I think actually my mom might have been at the same book signing because she was there. She got it signed for me, and I read it several times.
How about that?
Again. Yeah, it's a great book, and you'll definitely enjoy it.
That's a cool present from your mom. I never knew that.
Yeah, I didn't have a reason to tell you, but there you go.
It was, but I was legitimately, sad, when we got the news. So we recorded last week's podcast, and then a couple hours after, we recorded.
That's right.
The news came down. So, I love the NFL Network celebration because it showed a lot of some documentaries about the Steelers, and I loved all that. But I felt bad for the city, and I felt bad for the organization because it's losing your patriarch. And as important as the Chief was, Dan Rooney was more important to the Steelers, and he's my Steelers patriarch. I'm not sure about anyone else, but for me, it was a big deal losing Dan Rooney.
I think one of the really interesting things is just the people that comment on your life, after you die, and people from all walks of life. Obviously, everyone in football talked about how much Dan Rooney meant, but you had Barack Obama, of course, appointed Dan Rooney to be the ambassador to Ireland, how much Ireland meant to him. Go attend this funeral, no less, and issue comments. The president of Ireland, or whatever he's called, made a statement. Michael Hayden of the CIA made a statement. You just have people from every kind of walk of life and every sort of job that were affected and knew Dan Rooney. I think that's kind of the mark of the life you live when it's not just football guys talking about you; it's everybody talking about you.
And he said that while he was ambassador to Ireland, he had said that no ambassador before him had made it to every town in Ireland. And Dan Rooney, who was in his, he was obviously an older gentleman by the time he was appointed, he said it was his goal to make it to every town. And he did.
All 32 counties. Yeah, very cool.
And that's, there's not many people like that around where they're willing to do that. And it affects so many different people. If you have a former president of the United States coming to your funeral, you've done something right with your life.
Yeah, absolutely, no question there. And those were just perfect illustrations, Ian, of I think the definition of the character of a man that Dan Rooney was, and just how genuine he was with every single person, no matter your importance. You talked about the couple different presidents that were at the ceremony, but Alex, one friend of ours, Chad is his name, that worked for the Steelers at some point. He shared something on Facebook about how, I guess he invited him to his graduation or somewhat, but Dan Rooney took the time to literally type out a nice formal letter, thanking him and congratulating him and all that, and then personally signing it. And he, not only did he have that with that kind of relationship with workers from the top all the way down for the organization, but every single player as well. We saw obviously a couple different nice remembrances from Big Ben, from Antonio Brown. He had that kind of impact on people. He was that caring and that genuine. And no matter what kind of person you are, how important you are to whatever type of business you're in, if you have that kind of impact on people, that type of character, you're going to have this type of reaction when you eventually pass on because of just the impact you have on any sort of amount of people, from important to the little ones, so to speak. D-Joc, your thoughts now on Dan Rooney?
No, not too much. I mean, I was paying attention to Steelers a little bit. Really don't have the big impact like you guys have. But I mean, he had someone that could go on the Steelers Mount Rushmore. He was someone that's been there for his fans been there out for 70 years, 50. Been there forever. It seems like, and he was really integral in how the NFL operates now. And I couldn't find anyone on the internet, on Twitter, or anything that had a bad word to say about him. And so that means if you're around for 50, 60 years, plus, you would think that you would piss somebody off along the way, but when nobody comes out with any harsh words or anything, that just speaks to the character of the man.
Ian, what were you going to say?
If you want a story that just shows the impact Dan Rooney had on someone, watch the story of he and Ike Taylor. Ike Taylor was on about an hour or so after the news came down. He was on NFL Network. And I was sitting there, you have to kind of control your emotions to hear Ike talk about Dan Rooney. And it was almost tear-inducing of the reverence that he had and the pain that Ike was going through whenever he heard that Dan Rooney had passed. So if you get a chance to look at something like that, make sure you do.
Yeah, definitely. That definitely has been, again, one of many illustrations of just the caring nature that Dan Rooney had, and of course he's going to be well missed around the Steelers and around the NFL. So now let's go into our official draft show and officially kick things off here. First, guys, of course, with the draft being on Thursday, we're going to start off as we normally have done the last couple of years and go over our top 5 overall prospects. And D-Joc, I will have you lead us off here with your top 5 overall prospects. What do you got for us?
Oh, look at me going first here. I don't know if these are top overall guys, but just 5 guys that I love a lot, biasedly, unbiasedly. So number 1, I probably have to go. Leonard Fournette is probably my number 1 overall prospect. I like him a lot. Obviously, a lot of LSU bias there, but I think he's a great running back, a big pounder. A lot of people think he might not have that speed to get to the outside corner, and he's just up between the tackles guy. He can catch the ball in that backfield too. So I love Fournette a lot. He's probably a top 5 guy or so. Number 2, a guy that I've loved a lot has really risen in my eyes, and mostly a little bit to a sports talk, but just to my own knowledge. Christian McCaffrey out of Stanford. He'll definitely probably a top 10 guy, top 15 guy. But when you just, as you guys said, you go back and look at the tape and all things he can do, he's a Swiss Army knife. He can run, he can catch, punt return, kick return. And a lot of people, don't give him enough credit, but he's the real pounder, in the middle of the line, a guy that can get it done, really durable, not many injuries at Stanford, and obviously went to Stanford, so they're typically a very smart guy, and obviously his father had a huge pedigree in the league. Ed McCaffrey playing wide receiver for the Broncos, so I think definitely he's set for a lot of success there. Number 3, a guy which obviously probably a huge reach, but I love a lot. Reuben Foster, inside linebacker, Alabama. I just love him a lot. A lot of teams may be scared off by what happened at the combine with him and the hospital staff and nursing staff. But I just love him. He's a real hard-nosed guy. A guy that could be a linebacker captain for 15 plus years there. A lot of comparisons get thrown around. But I would go towards a Luke Kuechly, Ray Lewis type. A guy that can play sideline. And a guy that, other than the combines, a hard-nosed guy. Alabama got that pedigree. A real tough guy there. Number 4, but you can go 4 and then 4A between Corey Davis and Mike Williams. Both of them are very good. Both great wide receivers. Both kind of have similar skill sets for the most part. But both wide receivers that will go in the top 15 or so. So 4A, and 4 there. And number 5, a guy that I'm kind of dropping on my list here would be Malik Hooker, the cornerback from Ohio State. There, yes, he's very good and he's a ball hawk. But other than that, I don't really see too much. I mean, again, he's still top 5, top 6, but he's projected to be a top 5. He can go 3 or 4 there. But a guy that's a big ball hawk, which you can't really teach, has a great skill to have, but the tackling skills, not so much there. Coverage skills, not so much there. So, I mean, I'm ranked 6th overall on my list here. It's not a huge knock, but just something on my list. So I have Fournette, McCaffrey, Foster, Davis, Williams, and Hooker thrown in as an extra guy there.
All right, very interesting top 5, D-Joc, and you mentioned about Reuben Foster and the incident with the hospital worker. I don't think that's going to be a big issue overall. I think there's other issues on the field that teams have to look at and attend to, such as some injuries he's had in the past. But I'm going to get to that a little bit later on, and more in depth in the show. Let's go to Ian next on your top 5.
First off, you're not getting a whole lot of argument with D-Joc's top 5. I mean, those guys there, I think, are going to be big-time players. My top 5, I have Myles Garrett, number 1. Number 2 for me is going to be Jonathan Allen. I don't think we have to go over why those two are my top. They're 2 incredible players. The only thing that's knocking Jonathan Allen right now is the condition of his shoulder. But if you look at him just as a player, he's easily one of the top players in this draft. Reuben Foster is my number 3 overall player. I don't think anyone should be surprised I have 3 defensive players as my top 3 guys. There was an offensive lineman that was actually good in this draft, and he'd probably be in my top 5 too, but he's not. Oh well. And number 4 and 5 for me are relatively interchangeable, but I love these guys. Malik Hooker, I get the tackling issue. I get the 1-year starter, but how do you not love a guy that has the range that he does and the instincts that he has whenever he's in coverage? I mean, he's getting the Ed Reed comps, and while I think that's a bit exaggerated, there's a special player there, and I think that's what people are trying to say is that this guy could be a pretty special player. That's what I love about him. And then Leonard Fournette is a guy with the speed, with the strength. He's a guy who has the complete package. If you want a downhill running back who's going to knock the snot out of defenders trying to tackle him, he's your guy. One of the top running back prospects we've had come out in a really long time.
All right, Alex, in your top 5. I think your mic's out.
Oh, my mic was off, sorry. I was trying to pull up something. I don't think you're going to get a whole lot of disagreement, a whole lot of new names here, a couple, but I think those are 2 very good lists. Myles Garrett at number 1. I think that's going to be the consensus for most people. I think he's almost a slam dunk for the number 1 pick. I know people are saying Trubisky, but I think the Browns are still going to go with Myles Garrett. Still was productive last year, even if he did, was playing through injury. Number 2, and I tried to keep this for this top 5 overall. I tried to keep it strictly on the field. My number 2 overall is Reuben Foster. I don't think it's a stretch at all, D-Joc, when you look at a guy that can be the complete package, an inside linebacker at a position where a lot of guys are becoming specialized. So I really like Reuben Foster, that ability to hit you, and I have a train coming, which is very, I think, appropriate for Reuben Foster. But no, a guy that can hit you, I think a guy that can cover, be that 3-down linebacker, and again, in a world where it's tough to be a 3-down inside guy. Number 3, Solomon Thomas, and you name 4 you out of Stanford, you can debate him or Allen. He's a little underweight at about 272, but if you're a team that's flexible, if you have a hybrid front, or you're just, willing and able to move the guy around, 3-tech, put him on the edge in some situations, I think he's going to be maybe one of the best players in this draft. Malik Hooker, again, I like him, I think, a little more than Jamal Adams. They're 2 different guys, though, so it's kind of almost Ed Reed versus Troy kind of debate. Do you want more in the box guy? Do you want more of a center fielder? And Hooker, 7 interceptions, 3 returns for touchdown last year. Like Ian said, a young guy, redshirt sophomore, 1-year starter. So much growth there, but that range and ability to be that guy in center field and make those big plays, be that playmaker, I think it's really attractive. And the number 5, I'll throw a little bit of a curveball at you guys. A lot of debate about the receiver rankings, but my top receiver is John Ross from Washington. And it's not just because of the 4.22 speed. It's his ability to separate, his ability to change the stem in his route, separate the top of his route, be dynamic after the catch. I've always said my favorite thing about a receiver, the best receiver, is an open one. And I don't know if there are many receivers who get open better than John Ross. So that's my top 5.
All right, I'm going to go.
Skills, man.
Yeah, I mean, 4.22 obviously speaks for itself as far as John Ross is concerned there and getting separation. I'm going to go to my top 5 now, guys, which is a little bit different. I will say that before I get going.
Matt Petrillo, a little bit different. Oh, here we go.
Oh, this should be good. Let me get my popcorn here.
Number 3.
Okay. Well, let me start off by saying number 1 overall is Myles Garrett. That goes without question. I think it'd be totally ludicrous for the Browns not to pick him at number 1. Number 2, I had Mike Williams out of Clemson, and I kind of talked about this last week when we did our mock draft, Ian and Alex, of how much I pretty much in love with this kid. His tape to me blows me away. I think obviously he's the best receiver in this class. I mean, again, you talk about a big, physical, just incredibly gifted receiver. Incredible hands, first of all, as I mentioned. I think it might be the best of this draft, especially
you can almost see Control out with the boombox right now in front of Mike Williams' house.
Especially when he's battling in tight one-on-one coverage, he can go up there and grab it. I get Alex the separation issue is there, but I think if he'll have that height advantage, for the most part, he's 6'4", 210. I think he can be able to find a way to go up there and make the play regardless of the separation issues, though. I think that is somewhat of a legitimate slight concern, but I think still just the size overall and his athleticism and his great hands, I think we'll be able to override all of that in most cases. Great ability, I think, in being athletic and to make guys miss as well when he's in that open space. I just think he's overall just a hard guy to stop and bring down. So I just really love Mike Williams. Next, I have Tre'Davious White out of LSU as my top quarterback. I know it's not the consensus pick, but I just think he just has really solid technique. I think he's really, really good one-on-one. I love his ball skills overall. And I think he's got a good overall instincts, which I think helps him in his ball skills. He's very athletic as well. He also brings that special teams factor. And I also really love his versatility that he can play both in the slot and on the outside. And I just think he's a really solid cornerback overall. Number 4 in the running backs, I have Dalvin Cook. And I know there's a couple of things that, that are off the field. There's injuries that have dropped his draft stock. But I'm still, when you go back to the tape, I'm still just blown away by it. I don't think there's anything this guy can do as far as on the field is concerned. Tremendous acceleration out of the backfield, great cutback ability and vision. He's a tough downhill runner, physical, has good vision, dangerous in space, and he's really good in the pass game too. I mean, I still think when you look at these running backs, we're going to get into that a little bit later, Christian McCaffrey is a better pass-catching running back and probably a little bit better of a route runner, but Dalvin Cook to me is a very close second, almost a 1A as far as that's concerned. Even running a go route, things like that. Though he did have a drop or two I saw on tape. And he is also really good in pass protection too. I think that's a bonus when you look at as far as evaluating and think about drafting a running back is what is his pass protection ability. And a lot of rookies can struggle with that coming in the NFL right off the bat. I think that's a big bonus. So I have Dalvin Cook number 4, and then number 5 I do have Corey Davis out of Western Michigan. This guy can fly, a lot of speed as well. We talked about John Ross. Corey Davis has a lot of big-time speed, too. Threat anytime he's got the ball in his hands. Sharp route runner. He definitely uses his size and strength to his advantage. He's 6'3", 205. I think on tape he can do it even more than he has. Great hands as well. I've only saw one drop out of a sequence of games that I watched of him. And he's got that great ability to shake off defenders. Again, jump ball ability to come down, and good chance he's going to come down and make that completion. So I think Mike Williams are part of a really solid wide receiver class all around. But that overall is my top 5.
All right. A little better than I thought it'd be, to be honest. But we going to talk about running backs later in the show?
We are, yes. We will get. Actually, running backs are going to be. We're going to start right now with that. Actually, so we're going to go. I know we've talked about Fournette. We've talked about Cook, McCaffrey. So I'm going to start with Alex this time now. Give me your, depending on how many. Well, let's just go top 5-ish running backs. I'm not sure how many you've watched, but give me some of your top running backs. Obviously, besides mentioning, of course, the big 3 we've been talking about here.
Yeah, I mean, I think Fournette's going to be at the top of most guys' list. You look at the explosion he has, ability to get downhill, and the power that he has is pretty rare. But I will say, you do worry about guys that are a little straight line-ish, which he is. And, do you see that much of a difference between Fournette, say, a guy like Derrick Henry, who went in the second round last year? Maybe not. And you do worry about wear and tear with Fournette of just absorbing blows every single down because he's that kind of guy who wants to seek that out and hurt you. But that's going to be the only way he can run is straight line. He's not going to really be able to make a ton of guys miss. He can outrun you, but he's going to have to go through you in the process as well if you're coming downhill at him. So there is a little bit of a concern there with Fournette, and I'm probably not as high on him as, say, some other people are. McCaffrey's interesting because he can help you in so many different ways, but does he have an elite standout trait to be worthy of that top 10 pick? It surprises me a little bit, to be perfectly honest with you, that he is being rated as that top 10 guy. Cook's got a ton of talent, but there's the shoulder concerns, there's the off the field concerns as well. But I love the depth in this class, and I think you can wait on a running back, whether that's a Smarje Perine, whether that's a James Conner, Dante Foreman, who I like out of Texas, Kareem Hunt from Toledo, I really like as well. Best contact balance maybe in this class. So there's a lot of good depth in this running back class.
Yeah, Alex, I'm not totally as high on a guy like Leonard Fournette, so I kind of tend to agree with you there. I think I know his weight he brought it down to 12 pounds. He was at 240 at the combine, then he dropped down to 228 at his pro day. But can he maintain that overall throughout his NFL career? That is still very, very much a concern of mine too. And I get we don't really look at some of the top combine numbers other than maybe the 40 time, but I just thought I was really surprised by it because after watching his tape was he had the second lowest running back. He was the second lowest in the vertical jump out of any running back since 2000. He only jumped 28 and a half, which I thought was very interesting there. Like I said, I was really surprised at that looking at tape, but I still think there's a lot of good things to like about him. Tremendous vision, which does help him accelerate. He's obviously a powerful runner once he gets in space. I think he can cut back, but I don't think not as quick as I see with guys like a McCaffrey or Dalvin Cook, in instance that's kind of breathtaking.
Well, you wouldn't expect that. They're different sizes or different types of backs.
But I'm not saying he's bad either. I just think you get a lot more value in guys like Dalvin Cook and Christian McCaffrey. That's why I don't think I'm as high as Fournette. I still think he can be a productive back. I have him number 3 overall behind Cook and McCaffrey respectively in my running back ranking. So let me go to D-Joc next to see if you have any more defense of Fournette, because I know he's your guy, obviously being your number 1 overall prospect. And other thoughts on this running back class, D-Joc?
I think kind of same thing I'd say. Like Fournette 1, McCaffrey 2. I have Joe Mixon over Dalvin Cook. That could be a 1-1A thing, but I think Mixon without. Both people have had off the field this year. People always highlight the Joe Mixon stuff, but Cook's also had his fair share off the field issues too. But I think just on the field, I think Mixon gets the edge there. As for a 5th running back, I know Alex named all those names there. I'm going to go kind of off the board. The guy that I haven't really watched, that I hear is getting some pub, and Alex can maybe fill me in here, is Brian Hill, running back from Wyoming. Apparently he had a pretty good pro day, pretty good draft. I really know nothing about him. But I don't know if he can still in now. But here's Brian Hill, guy from Wyoming, is getting a lot of pub last couple.
Yeah, no, I'm listening. I don't know if he's getting a lot. I mean, his class is pretty deep, so I think he's still going to be a day 3 pick. Yeah. But I don't think
I just had some mock drafts and people on the Raiders and all. He could be a mid-round. Mostly I guess the Eagles looking for backup running back. But the name of Brian Hill, Wyoming, I don't know. So I just threw out random names that you named every single running back in this draft now. So.
Well, no, you're gonna add on to some other names.
So there you go.
All right, Ian. Now, but before we go officially to Ian, next after Ian gives us his other thoughts on this running back class, I want to get into this debate a little bit about Joe Mixon and if you take a chance on him if you're an NFL GM. But first, let me go to Ian on your overall thoughts of this running back class. And your mic is off.
I suck, sorry. But why don't we just jump right into this Joe Mixon? So, I mean, listen, this running back class is really, really good. I think we can all agree that there's probably 6 or 7 running backs who we all agree could be really, really good players in the NFL. That in most drafts will probably go higher than they will next week because it's such a deep class. Wayne Gallman is one of my personal favorites from Clemson. But the Joe Mixon thing, I look at him almost in a way with Dalvin Cook. Dalvin Cook has had a number of issues. He has never been charged with anything, but once is an accident, twice is a trend, and 3 times you start seeing a pattern. And so Dalvin Cook scares me as much, if not more, than Joe Mixon, and Joe Mixon scares the bejesus out of me. So I personally, yes, the talent's there for both guys. Yes, they're both first-round talents. I don't know if I'm taking either one of them because I don't think I can trust them moving forward. I will take another player that maybe has lesser ability, but I know that I can count on to come in, do his work at the facility, and then go home and not be a problem for me that I get a phone call at 2 o'clock in the morning saying he's been arrested or there's been an incident or something along those lines. Both guys scare me really, really bad. yes, both of them could come in the league and be totally fine. But I'm not sure if I would be willing to take the risk on either one of these guys.
All right, Alex, what are your thoughts here on as far as Joe Mixon is concerned? I guess even Dalvin Cook in this case.
You know, we're not scouts. We're not in the know. It's going to be impossible for us to really comment on it too much or too accurately, at least. Here's what I know, at least, about Joe Mixon. I know three things, basically. One is that he's one of the most talented players at his position in this class. Two is whoever takes him is going to get a lot of backlash for it, and understandably, justifiably so. And three, a lot of times these guys from college, when they have baggage, they get to the NFL, people stop caring. You look at Tyreek Hill, you look at Frank Clark. Now Mixon's a little different because it's so high profile, but
there's video.
Yeah, there's video, which is the big thing. But I'll say this is it doesn't matter if you take him in the first round, you take him in the 7th round, you're gonna get a lot of backlash for it. So you might as well take him higher and just make sure you get it because you're getting backlash no matter what. So you might as well just take him when you can. And if you do, he's gonna help your team win. I don't know how I personally evaluate him, but I know that whoever takes him is going to get a really good player. And if they can weather that storm of criticism, they're going to come out on top. Whether or not you disagree with what he did, which everyone disagrees with what he did, but whether or not you agree or disagree he should be in the league and all that, the talent's undeniable. He's going to help a team win. Usually that's all that matters in this league.
Right. I as far as that strategy is concerned, Alex, I can understand that, but I don't know. Mixon scares me more than Cook, though. Cook, obviously,
But you love. You rated Cook in your top 5.
I do,
so
yeah, and
you really don't want Mixon at all. But you really are a big advocate for Cook, and they have similar issues.
Right. It's just Mixon's. The thing with Dalvin Cook is it was the reason why I still kept him at number 1 is because there's a lot of things in there that are still a little bit unknown, and it's not as known as we know about Joe Mixon. We know for a fact, because we have the tape, like you guys talked about, of that Joe Mixon obviously punched a woman, and now this could be the high school thing that possibly is now coming out.
That got recanted immediately. So Mixon has one incident. It's a terrible incident. It's awful, but he didn't do his time. He paid his price for it. Cook has multiple, basically, things on him.
Right, but what I'm saying is that they're not as well. There's still a lot of unknown factors in that. Now, if I'm the Eagles, for instance, or any NFL team, and I have a little bit more feeling of what those factors are, and they're as egregious or whatever, compared to what we're talking about with Joe Mixon, then I'm much more understanding about not taking him and taking a guy, Christian McCaffrey, instead.
Yeah,
I just don't know what those factors are, is what I'm saying.
Well, that's the scary part, is if you're going to burn a first-round pick on Cook, and there's big unknowns, which I'm sure for teams they know a lot more about, that's scary. I guess the one good thing with Mixon, if you call that, is you know what the issue is, you know how to handle it, your PR staff can get out in front of it, and you can ask Mixon about it truthfully and have a really honest conversation about it because, he's done his time and he's trying to get past it. So, if there's unknown things with Cook, that's even more of an issue because you don't know, you don't have a great evaluation on him off the field.
Right, but which is why I've got him completely written off, which is why a lot of other teams have him or I should say really one or two, that have completely have him off their board because it's a known fact because there's concrete evidence. There's not, as it's presented at least publicly, there's not a lot of concrete evidence when it comes to Dalvin Cook. If teams have a little bit better idea of what some of that concrete evidence could be as far as Dalvin Cook is concerned, then as a fan or as that follows a certain team that's running back needy, if they pass on Dalvin Cook, then I become more understanding of that because they know more concrete evidence than I do.
Infamous student and council union thing. Are we getting close to that again right now?
Oh yeah, that's fun.
No, this.
I get your.
That's only because that's basically my whole point around this. Joe Mixon, we know what happened. There's concrete evidence there. I'm off my board. I don't want him associated with my team. If Dalvin Cook happens to fall in that same boat, we just don't know it publicly yet, as maybe some of the other teams do, then I wouldn't want him either. I just don't know what that is, so therefore I'm going to put him number 1 because what I do know for a fact is he blows me away on tape. I think he's better than all these running backs in this class, and that's why I got him right there. Now, D-Joc, did you have any more thoughts on this Mixon issue, or do you have any more thoughts to add on Dalvin Cook as well?
Well, no, I think I said it in my last comment. I mean, both of them have off-the-field issues. Some teams can draft both of them, maybe not as high as we would think, or that they would have. I mean, neither of them should go past the fourth round. I mean, they should definitely be, round two, round three.
Picks. I mean,
yeah.
At the latest, they'll be early day two.
Yeah. So I mean, definitely. But again, if they were some slub guys, some seventh round guy, not get drafted at all. But because unfortunately, their talent supersedes everything, they definitely get drafted, as Alex said, and all you guys alluded to. There'll be some blowback for all of it. But I mean, there's been worse people drafted, worse people in the NFL like that. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm not trying to sugarcoat or try to be on one side or the other, but I mean, they definitely get drafted, and they don't. The adage, winning cures everything. If they Mixon, Cook come out and they playoff team and play well, no one's gonna talk about it. So I mean, that's just
Tyreek Hill, case in point.
I mean, that's kind of nature of the beast again, unfortunately, but it is what it is. Yeah.
And Ian, you mentioned Tyreek Hill, and we obviously talked about this on the mock draft episode last week. I really do think Kansas City could be a team that I would put in the lead running right now as far as being speculatory is concerned, as far as a team that could be interested and could draft Joe Mixon that is running back needy at this point. But mentioning Tyreek Hill.
Or Dalvin Cook. I think both of them would be
either one
there.
Right. All right, so let's move on now to the cornerback class, which is obviously one of the deepest, if not the deepest, position of all of this draft class. I'm going to start with Ian this time on your top guys and a little bit more thoughts now on this position.
Well, I think we can all agree on at least the top two guys on tape. Well, maybe not controlling. Top two guys on tape by that for me were Marshawn Lattimore and Sidney Jones. Now, with Sidney Jones' injury, he's obviously going to get pushed down a lot of lists, but from a pure on the field, and Sidney Jones is long, he's athletic, was a really productive cornerback for Washington. And then Marshawn Lattimore is a younger guy, not quite as experienced, but has all of the traits you're looking for in a defensive back playing at Ohio State. I think those two guys, once Sidney Jones comes back from his Achilles injury, which from all the reports, he should make a full recovery. Those two guys are going to be really, really good players. I think those are the top two guys.
All right, and Alex, let me get your thoughts now on this cornerback class.
Yeah, it's probably one of the strongest, maybe the strongest position in this class, guys. My number one corner is probably still going to end up being Marlon Humphrey. Some people are lower on him. Some people see him as a day two guy. Some people think could he move to safety, but he's a 20-year-old guy that started at 19 years old as a redshirt freshman for Nick Saban, which I think is incredibly tough to do. And he has some tough matchups and took his lumps at times, but I think he's incredibly. I think he's really physical and aggressive. Not the best tackler yet, but he's got that 1-2, which is kind of really all I need to see. That's a really strong athlete. Ran a 4.41 at the combine. I think does really well at catch points, has strong hands, ability to finish the play. I think he's just going to get better from here on out. It might be a little similar to Kareem Jackson. He's going to take some time that first year or two to, get life figured out and get, hone his craft at the position. But I think there's a lot of upside there. But other guys, I like Dory Jackson from USC, who's probably not as experienced in the slot, but that'll be his likely home at the next level. Chidobe Awuzie, who I've talked about a ton, is one of my favorite guys in this draft that I think has a really good chance to go somewhere in the back half of the first round. As a guy that can play inside out, to play safety in Colorado, tested phenomenally, and is a super aggressive physical tackler that can finish the play with a strong football IQ and ability to close in the football. Kayron Conley from Ohio State, Lattimore, we've talked about them before. And there's a ton of tall, long guys that kind of have issues tackling, whether that's Quincy Wilson or Akella Witherspoon. If you're looking for size, a corner, and length, this is a good draft for it.
Yeah, definitely. No question there, Alex. Let me go to D-Joc now on your thoughts on this cornerback class.
Again, Alex named every single cornerback going back to high school here. But no, it's the same similar name, just moved around. I'm a little higher on Connolly. I have Hook 1, Connolly 2. I think would be better overall. Then I have Lattimore 3, Travis White 4, and Humphrey 5. I think definitely I like Hooker a lot. I've seen Conley a lot too. The other guys haven't really seen too much. But Alex is right. There's a lot of, even at Sidney Jones, you mentioned too, Ian. A lot of high. I don't think there's any. I mean, maybe Hooker, a couple other guys are really like elite guys.
Are you talking about Lattimore or are you talking about Hooker?
Hooker. I like Hooker a lot. Hooker's number one.
He's a safety, though.
Corner?
Malik Hooker?
No, yeah.
It's a safety.
He's a safety. And I can't read that. But, yeah, you're right. I believe it. But anyways, but just in general.
There's so many Ohio State defensive backs. It's okay that you confuse them. There's so many of them.
Yeah, but even since I went to safety, even the safeties too, Pepper, that everyone, there's a very deep secondary draft in general. Some guys in the back end are very, very good.
All right, that you are right about
Jeremy Cutter out of Middle Tennessee State, guys. The dude reminds me of Ike Taylor. I love him. I want the Steelers to take him so bad, and it probably won't happen because they have not shown a whole lot of interest. But if Kevin Colbert is listening, which he probably is, listen, Jeremy Cutter, Middle Tennessee State, was an LSU recruit, never had the grades to get in, went to Middle Tennessee State, has been a really good player, played his best game against Alabama last year. The dude's really good.
All right, so I'm going to go with my top 5 for cornerbacks concerned. I already mentioned Tre'Davious White. I do have Lattimore, too, and I did get a chance to watch Garyon Conley from Ohio State, and I have him number 3, and I really like him, too. I think he's a pretty nice prospect overall. I think he's also got great ball skills and good technique overall. You definitely see that speed and quickness. He ran a 4.440 at the combine, so I think you definitely see that on tape. I like his physicality as well, much like his counterpart in Lattimore. I think he's a pretty good tackler. He's got great instincts, which I think helped him in some really big plays that he made. Especially he had that one interception early on against Clemson in the bowl game. And he did get beat into the inside a couple of times, but that's really tough to do. He was on Mike Williams for most of the game, but I think he's really nice overall. I probably like Lattimore's ball skills a little bit more than Conley, but they're really right there. It was a really tough call to make as far as putting who I put one over the other. But I got Lattimore 2, Conley 3. Then I have Tease Tabor 4. I really just love this kid. I think he's got incredible athleticism and speed. Great instincts as well.
He ran a 4.7 at his pro day.
And a 4.62 at the combine.
Right, I was surprised. I was surprised about that. But on tape, I like the speed there. It was almost like what I was saying about Fournette earlier. I mean, the tape didn't show what he jumped in that vertical in the vertical jump there, and that's why I was surprised about Tabor as well.
Leonard Fournette at 240 pounds ran like 3/10 of a second faster than Tease Tabor did. I don't think we should overlook that.
That's a good point.
It is, but I still like his. I think there's still a lot there to like about Tease Tabor as far as his ball skills and instincts. And then I have Marlon Humphrey 5. I like him in pass coverage. I think he's got good technique overall. I just think his tackling though is a little sloppy, so that'd be my only concern there. And then I have Cindy Jones 6 just because of where you are with the injury. But I agree. I think on tape he's a pretty solid prospect overall. And then one sleeper that I'll put for cornerback is Shaquille Griffin out of UCF. I only found one game of him against Arkansas State, but he can cover a lot of ground quickly. He's pretty fast as well. He ran a 4.38 at the combine. I was really impressed by what he did at the combine. I think his technique still needs a little bit of work, but I think he's a good value maybe day 3 or so. So those are my looks at the cornerbacks.
Part
right
of that UCF defense's turnaround. They were one of the worst defenses in college football last year, and then this year, I'm not going to say they were the best defense in college football, but they made remarkable improvement, and he was one of the main reasons why.
He's just got to play to that speed a little more. You look at the Michigan game, he got beat by Darba, I think, on a post. I think he's going to work on his technique, not leaning into guys, play a little cleaner downfield. Yeah, he's a physical guy, good athlete. I think he can sneak in the late day, too, as a round 3 pick because he does have that athletic profile and the size at 6'4", just under 200. Great backstory, too, guys. Twin brother, Shaquem Griffin, who's a linebacker starter for him last year, who only has one hand. Shaquem Griffin's going to be a senior for 2017, this upcoming draft, so that'll be a name to watch out for. Very cool bond those two have.
That's a cool story. I missed that during the combine. That's cool.
With the first pick in the 2018 draft, the Cleveland Browns select a linebacker with one hand.
But don't sleep on the Shaquem Griffin. The dude can hit. He wears number 18. He had a ton of tackles last year. He was actually, I think, like fifth in the NCAA in solo tackles or something last year. All those UFC DBs, I watched multiple games of them. They can hit. I mean, they take pride in being physical, and that's attractive for Shaquille Griffin.
So now, guys, I know I have wide receiver down here to talk about. I think we've done a lot as far as basing on who we like overall. Do you have any sleepers at the receiver? Let me start with D-Joc on this.
No, honestly, not really. I mean, I like Zay Jones a lot from East Carolina.
I do
That's
too.
a guy. And he could probably go first round. I know the Steelers were rumored, taking him maybe a couple weeks back. But maybe him, he's probably a round 2 guy. Other than that, they're like the same names. Maybe also Chris Goodwin from Penn State. Kind of like the Penn State homer, the Pennsylvania guy.
I love Chris Godwin. I think he's going to be a really good value for anybody day 2 maybe.
Yeah, but other than that, nothing like groundbreaking or shattering.
All right, Alex, let me go to you. Any sleeper at the receiver position there for you?
Yeah, real quick, I'll give you 3 names. Both North Carolina guys. Ryan Switzer, which I think is one of the best route runners in this draft, and I would take him on day 2. I don't know where he's going to go, but ability to release against press coverage, watch him at the Senior Bowl, fantastic. His counterpart, Matt Collins, was the opposite. Big, long strider. He's a great special teams demon, was a big asset on kick coverage and things like that. High character guy. I really like Matt Collins. Look for him to go, maybe early day 3. And then real late round guy, probably a free agent, Willie Quinn from Southern. Smallest guy in this year's draft. He's like 5'5", $150, but one of the most dynamic players I've watched that I compare to Brandon Banks, who had a success with Washington as the kick returner. And Danny Smith was the one who signed Brandon Banks. If you're a Steelers fan, watch out for Willie Quinn coming to Pittsburgh.
There we go. I like the Nuggets there. Ian, what are your thoughts here on some sleepers for receiver?
Darius Stewart is my draft crush this year.
This year's chance
everything about him. He's a tough guy. Whenever the ball's in his hands, he runs like a running back. He's a thickly built wide receiver. He's got good speed. I think he ran in the 4.4s, which is actually faster than I thought he was going to run. The only issue is that he double catches, and I think if he can get that figured out, he's going to be a really nice number 2 wide receiver for our team. And again, Kevin Colbert, we know you're listening. Right before you take Jeremy Cutter, you can take our Darius Stewart, and I'll be really, really happy.
All right, you heard that request there from Mr. Hunter. Go do it. I'll give one other name out there, Cooper Kupp for Eastern Washington. I love this kid's story. This kid went from a walk-on at Eastern Washington to then setting the FCS record in career reception yards. I mean, that is just an unbelievable story, and I think he's a pretty impressive kid overall. I'm not a big fan of his speed, and he has pretty decent size at 6'2" overall, but he has sharp route running ability, has that nice ability to get separation. Despite the speed issue, I think because of his route running ability, that helps him create that separation a little bit, and it makes up for his lack of speed a little bit. Reliable and very strong hands. This kid's tough as nails too. He played through 2 games with an AC joint injury, and making some of those big catches. Great instincts as well. He does a really nice job coming back to the ball, I think, as well. I think this could be a late day 2, maybe an early day 3 pick, and good value in that spot. But this is a pretty impressive kid and a really tough kid in Cooper Kupp from Eastern Washington. All right, so now we're going to go to quarterback overall, and let me just start by throwing the question out there. We know of the big 3 pretty much of Deshaun Kaiser and Deshaun Watson and Mitch Trubisky, but we also have coming into the mix now Patrick Mahomes. So let me start with Ian on this. Can any of, let's say, we'll call it the big 4 now, these quarterbacks, are these guys really worthy of a first-round pick?
No.
Okay, I agree.
No. I mean, the only one who I can make an argument for is Deshaun Watson. I think of all of them, he is the most worthy. Now, does that mean he should go in the first round? No. Do I think he can be a good player in the NFL? Yes. Is he a guy that, when you looked at Andrew Luck, first round talent, when you looked at RG3 at the time, first round talent, when you looked at Jameis Winston, first round talent, when you looked at Jared Goff the whole way down, none of these guys jump off the tape at you going, okay, that's the guy right there that we can build our franchise around. The 4 guys right now, you're hoping to get lucky. You're hoping that if you take them early, you'll turn them into franchise quarterbacks. And maybe they will be. Maybe they won't be. This is a giant question mark position in this draft.
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
I'm not telling you anything you don't know. That's been the story for about 6 months.
Right, but I do agree, though, that I think Deshaun Watson is the best of this, we'll call the Big Four, but overall this quarterback class, and I think he can be a guy that can make maybe that first jump and be a productive player in the NFL. But I agree. I would not take any of these quarterbacks in the first round as well, but I agree what you said about Deshaun Watson. Alex, your thoughts on the quarterbacks here. Can they, or I should say, should they be first-round picks?
Your mic is off, my friend.
Sorry. We'll figure it out. Get that in editing. I think there's two that are worthy of first-round picks. I think Deshaun Watson. I think Patrick Mahomes. I think the upside for both is immense. And Watson, I love what he did in clutch situations. Look at the Alabama game.
Absolutely.
His fourth quarter numbers overall there are spectacular. I think Mahomes is unrefined, but has that incredible upside and that work ethic that he could be a franchise quarterback. It's not guaranteed, but I think that he could be that, and he's going to make some big plays for you. So those are the two guys I would personally consider in the first round. I think ultimately 4 quarterbacks to take in day one.
And bingo right there about Deshaun Watson. I mean, what he did, not only in the championship game, bringing his team down from a 14-0 deficit and all the way back to win, throws the game-winning touchdown with a second left. He did the same thing in bringing his team back in the ACC championship game a couple weeks before. That is a quarterback, a guy that he may be a little bit reckless with the football, and granted, those are some issues he has to fix. But when it's all said and done, your team needs to get back into a game. Somebody needs to make a play late. Deshaun Watson can do that. That is a quarterback. That's what a quarterback should be in the NFL. So I completely agree with you on that, Alex. D-Joc, your thoughts on those quarterback class?
Oh boy, I think any quarterback and any player is worthy of a first-round pick in any team's eyes. No, but really, nobody laughed at anything. I mean, anyone can be a first-round pick. Just take one. I mean, Tim Tebow was a first-round pick.
Yeah, we don't need to relive that.
But no, I mean,
I got to see him striking out now and doing stupid stuff playing baseball.
Yeah, no, I mean, like first round wise, I think probably Trubisky's first round wise, and Mahomes also first round wise. The other guys not so much. And just for the hell of it, a sleeper. I don't know. I feel like, and maybe not for the first round, but maybe day 2. But Joshua Dobbs, Tennessee, I think he could get drafted maybe before Watson, before Kaiser, maybe in my own fantasy world. But I like Dobbs a lot already. And now I was kind of drinking the Kool-Aid, watching the John Gruden quarterback camp. And I love Dobbs a lot. Gruden spoke highly of him there. So if John Gruden spoke highly of him, he must be really good. So that's my 2.5 cents.
Going ahead of Kaiser, I maybe got you there because Kaiser's tape to me was atrocious overall. But we won't waste time getting into that. So next we're going to go quickly. Steelers and Eagles draft plans. We kind of talked about that already. So let me start with D-Joc on this. I'm going to give me your thoughts overall for the Steelers and Eagles draft plans, and if you have any first-round projections, throw them at me.
Oh, boy. Excuse me. I don't know. Both of these, but the first, other than Myles Garrett going number 1 to Browns, everything's open in this draft. And I think it's awesome. Being open for different players, trade scenarios, trade up, trade back. It's awesome. Steelers-wise, I don't know. I mean, a lot of people, I think, they can go quarterback, maybe. I've seen Watson go to the Steelers. That's why that can happen. I've seen him going wide receiver. That's where Zay Jones from East Carolina. They need a edge rusher, so it could be a Derek Barnett, could be a McKinney from UCLA. So the Steelers are in a good position to take best player available, which is awesome. But if I had to, do it right now, I'd probably go Jabril Peppers from Michigan. I think he fits the Steelers' need. He's a tough, hard-nosed guy on the back end. So I'd go Peppers. As for the Eagles, again, they're in a good position with 3, 4, and 5 guys. They'll be very happy with taking. They could trade back. I'd like to trade for anybody. And I probably for the Eagles, probably not going to happen. I'd go Reuben Foster if he's still there. I love Reuben Foster. He'd be great there for the Eagles. Other than that, again, he can go with a wide receiver. I'd be happy with Williams, probably definitely. Corey Davis, maybe a little less happy. I like Williams more. Wouldn't get happy there. But again, I would hoping, praying, wishing for Reuben Foster to be there for the Eagles, and that would be my, number one A plus draft pick for the Eagles.
I don't know if I'd be a big fan of Foster at 14 for the Eagles. One, I'm not as high on him as everybody else is, just because of the way his performance on the field as far as his tackling is concerned. You see some of those big plays. I talked about this last week. You see some flashes, but I just think it's overall inconsistent. And two, with the way that he sometimes tackles, he got a stinger from the way he tackles, so you worry about his injury history as well. And the Eagles can't really afford that right now defensively. So I wouldn't be that pleased if the Eagles went with a guy like
D-Joc, I got to tell D-Joc, last week we were doing this mock draft. Cachillo named about 2 or 3 reasons why he didn't like Reuben Foster, and then went for about a half hour of all the great things Reuben Foster does, and then said, but I still really don't like him.
Well, that's typical Cachillo.
Exactly. So I like your pick there. I just want to let you know I like that.
Thank you. But Matt, the fact of the matter is Foster's not going to be there at 14. He's going to be a top 10
I don't think so
guy.
either. Yeah.
Someone's going to possibly, but I mean, I think Reuben Foster is the A+ going away pick, and after that,
I think Reuben Foster's got a really good chance to be there for Philadelphia.
If the Eagles want to trade up maybe a spot or two, but I don't know. But I would die if Reuben Foster. I would be so ecstatic, and I will.
We hear that champagne popping all the way from Buffalo.
Oh,
I'm excited for you, man.
I would go streaking.
Well,
all
maybe
right.
now we're pushing it.
All right, anyway, let's move on. Ian, your draft thoughts here.
Okay, draft plan, make it very quick because I know we're running out of time. Steelers draft plan, I think they're doing a quarterback round 1. It's just a total gut feeling. D-Joc alluded to it just because with the board's wide open, I don't know which one it's going to be, so I'm not even going to speculate because there could be a number of guys that are there. But I think quarterback's where they go round 1 just because the edge rusher class is so deep. I think they'll grab an edge rusher day 2 and be really happy. Eagles draft plan, I like the Reuben Foster idea for Philadelphia. I think that actually makes a lot of sense. Reuben Foster's not there. I think they take best wide receiver or best running back available at that point.
Alex?
I don't think it's going to be corner for Pittsburgh at 30. I think it's either going to be an outside linebacker or a safety. And I'm leaning towards safety right now, but I think both are on the table. I think there's kind of 3 guys I'm circling. TJ Watt. No, I don't think Obi's going to be there. I think TJ Watt. I think Jabril Peppers, just because everybody and their mother is saying Jabril Peppers. And Marcus May, I think, was a dark horse sleeper we can't forget about in Florida.
I
think those are the 3 that fit the best, but we'll see. Who knows how it'll go. For Philadelphia, I think it could be a corner. Depending on who falls, could it be Conley from Ohio State? You're going to like that he doesn't make it there. Humphrey. Could they go athletic profile Kevin King or Nwuze? That would be interesting. I would dig both of those picks. So I don't think it'll be running backs though, unless Fournette were to drop. I don't think it'll be a running back.
Real quick, Alex, with Jabril Peppers obviously kind of being like a hybrid type of guy in Michigan, would you be okay with him, with the Steelers picking him at number 30, knowing that there's some things they got to work with and he's somewhat of a project?
I'm fine with the fit. I know he'll play. I'm cool with that. He's a good athlete. My worry with him is he didn't make plays at Michigan. He played in Don Brown's system, best defense coordinator in college football, a ton of talent around him, and he just didn't make many splash plays. Usually, if you don't make a lot of splash plays at the college level, it's harder to magically get that to change for the NFL level. So I get the fit. It's not about that. It's about where were the splash plays, the playmaking ability wasn't really there at Michigan.
I think the Steelers also might factor in the great special teams value that he brings because that's something that they've lacked as far as trying to have a solid
But Mike Tomlin's not going to play a defensive player.
Well, he might because Peppers has played offense. He understands ball security, but that's such a minor thing because the kick return game has been diminished so much, and he's not going to be in there year 1 because he's a rookie and Tomlin's not going to trust him. So that's such a minor thing that can't move the needle very much for me.
All right, so I'm going to go quickly here, and then we'll see if we're going to have time to squeeze in our mock part of the show. We may have to wait for that till next week. As far as the Eagles go, I think they need to go best player available at either receiver, edge rusher, or cornerback. So a couple of guys I have circled, Mike Williams, obviously. Corey, I think John Ross is a possibility for the Eagles as well. I know there's a lot of reports out there linking the Eagles to him.
D-Joc doesn't like that very much.
I would be a little nervous about taking John Ross myself if I'm the Eagles there. I think Derek Barnett is an excellent choice for the Eagles at 14 if he happens to fall, though I don't think he's going to be there. I think if he falls outside the top 10, the Saints would grab him at 11. And then as far as quarterbacks concerned, I think Conley would be a nice fit. I wouldn't be upset about Humphrey, depending on how the board goes. So if the Eagles go either one of those three positions, best player available mentality, I think they'd be in good shape too. But I really am starting to like the possibility a lot of Derek Barnett. If he happens to fall, then I think that can really be a good fit for the Eagles. And you have to hope, too, if you're an Eagles fan, that some of the quarterbacks go earlier in the draft, so then some of those top defensive players start sliding a little bit, too. So I think that's something to keep an eye on as well. The very top part of the board really does affect the Eagles' draft plans, and it's going to be very interesting to watch. Now, the Steelers side of things, cornerback, safety, wouldn't surprise me if they go outside linebacker either. I think those are only the three spots there. I think Peppers I think it's probably the name that I would definitely have to keep an eye on, too, if I'm Pittsburgh. Alex, I know you have to go, so...
Well, I can stick around for another 2 minutes or so. We'll finish it out.
Okay, all right, so
we're just going to go to our top 5 now, right?
Yeah, we'll do top 5 mock projections. We'll do this quick, and we'll kind of do it how we did with Ian last week. We'll each kind of go right down the border here. So I'm going to have D-Joc start at number 1 for Cleveland. Who are you going to? If you're Cleveland, who do you take?
Myles Garrett.
Okay. Let's go to Ian next. San Francisco, number 2.
Same thing I had last week, and it's not going to change. Jamal Adams.
Jamal Adams. Okay. I will go with Chicago at number 3, and
if you go Trey White again, I'm going to smack you through the computer screen.
I'll go Marshawn Lattimore number 3 for Chicago.
That makes more sense. Thank you.
Now, what's your name? Alex Jacksonville, number 4.
Right. Nice to meet you.
You too.
I think what I had last time, Solomon Thomas, again, top 5 guy for me.
Okay. And then D-Joc will have you finish off at number 5 with the Tennessee Titans, getting the pick from the LA Rams.
They're definitely going cornerbacks. Either Lattimore or Adams. That was what you mentioned.
Those guys are both gone.
They're probably Hooker then. I'm probably going safety with Hooker.
Okay. I think we had that too in our mock last
actually.
week.
So, all right, D-Joc was paying attention. I like it.
Yeah.
I like it a lot.
Didn't we have that in our mock last week? We had both Malik Hooker and Jamal Adams going in the top 5?
Yeah, because I picked both of them. So yes, they
okay.
both.
All right,
go
there we go. That's what I thought. All right, there we go. All right, so we did sneak in. Maybe we'll do next week's show. Maybe we'll continue a mock and go where we left off, 6 through however far we get.
Well, is the next week's show going to come out after the draft starts?
Yes.
Yes. So never mind.
We can do something. We'll put it up early.
Yeah.
We should do a live stream.
No.
We'll have to figure that one out. But yeah, definitely stay tuned for more draft coverage as we lead you up to the draft next week from Philly. So that'll do it for our draft show, big time portion of the show. Guys, always a pleasure. It was a lot of fun.
Yep. Keep your tradition going.
Excellent.
I'm glad to say that one of my Clarion traditions that I started is still going, guys. I just want to let you know how happy that makes me.
There we go. We're happy to have you still part of that tradition, and hopefully we'll keep it going for many years to come. So be sure to follow the podcast on Twitter at FFPodcast1 for the show links. Remember, we are now on YouTube at Football Friday for all. You can find all the show archives there, but also find them on Twitter at FFPodcast1. We'll have also the latest show news and NFL news and notes as well. Alex is on Twitter at Alex_Kazora. Ian on Twitter at B104_Hunter. Tyler's on Twitter at Tyler_DeGiacomo. And I'm on Twitter at MCATLDN for all of the latest NFL opinions and things like that as well. You can also find the show links at our personal accounts as well. So that's going to do it for this week's show. For Alex Kazora, for Ian Hunter, and for Tyler DeGiacomo, I'm Matt Catrillo. Thanks for listening to this week's edition of the Football Friday podcast.